This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
Just ahead on Carolina Impact, find out how Charlotte's new VA healthcare center could help thousands of vets across our region. Plus, Carolina's healthcare system CEO Michael Tarwater retires soon. We'll look back at the organization's growth under his leadership. And in our one-tank trip, we're heading to Statesville to visit a mummy. No, not my mommy, a mummy. Don't go anywhere. Carolina Impact starts right now.
PBS Charlotte presents Carolina Impact, covering the issues, people, and places that impact you. This is Carolina Impact.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. Thousands of veterans live across our region, and more relocate here each and every day. That's why the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs built a new healthcare center in Charlotte. Carolina Impact's Jeff Rivenbark went and checked it out for us.
Ray Haight enjoys playing computer war games.
Thor's Thunder.
He spends hours here in his man cave, as he calls it, surrounded by lots of patriotic and war memorabilia.
This is a Bronze Star with V and my Purple Heart, my Vietnam campaign medals, and then my good conduct.
Ask him about Vietnam, and he's got stories to share.
I was a combat platoon sergeant. My job was to lead a platoon to seek out the enemy and destroy them.
He also suffers from PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder.
This is what I do when I get under pressure, because in Vietnam, we have so much blood, we can't use our drinking water to get it off. You sweat and roll it off. And I can't stand the sticky. If I get anything sticky on my hand, which resembles that of blood, I have to get it off.
I look at myself more as a survivor than anything.
John Stegall served in Vietnam for 3 years in the late 60s.
After I'd been back a while, we noticed that my sugar level was going up, and so I developed diabetes. They tell me it had to do with Agent Orange.
3 times a week he goes to a kidney dialysis center. But for other health checkups, John drives to the VA outpatient clinic in University City or the VA hospital in Salisbury. But those drives could become less frequent with the opening of the VA's outpatient healthcare center in Southwest Charlotte.
The veteran population in not only Charlotte, but also North Carolina is continuing to grow.
Kid Mortimer says the new VA healthcare center is more than 4 times larger than the VA outpatient clinic in University City.
We needed a new facility in Charlotte in order to not only keep up with our current demand, but build and have the capacity for future demand that we expect to be coming into the next 10 and 20 years.
According to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, more than 57,000 veterans live in Mecklenburg County, followed by 20,000 in York County, 16,000 in Gaston County, and 13,000 in Cabarrus and Union counties. But there are more than 182,000 veterans living across PBS Charlotte's 13-county coverage area. From CT scans to MRIs, the new center will offer a number of advanced medical procedures, which in the past veterans had to make a trip to the VA hospital in Salisbury or Columbia. Through these doors, we get to see inside one of the 4 operating rooms where same-day surgeries will be performed using state-of-the-art medical equipment. The center offers a number of specialty services such as cardiology, neurology, and oncology, as well as dialysis units, and eventually a dental clinic.
Traditionally in the VA, the doctor had to put in a consultation, then it was looked at later, and then there was phone tag between the VA and the veteran trying to get an appointment set up. So we're trying to make things much easier for veterans and much more seamless for them.
In this area, 18 patient-aligned care teams consisting of physicians, nurses, and support staff will manage the healthcare needs of thousands of veterans.
So we're prepared every time we get a new surge in veterans to care for them and open up a new team. We have plenty of space in this building.
Everything in it is brand new.
As Director of Mecklenburg County Veteran Services, Jim Prosser hears lots of complaints about the VA from disgruntled veterans.
The wait times they've had and the travel to Salisbury for specialty appointments and those type of things, and now they're going to have it right here in our backyard, and that's what's exciting.
It's important for veterans to know this is not a hospital and doesn't have an emergency room.
Those are the 2 biggest things that we've been trying to make sure that everybody understands. It's gorgeous, it looks like a hospital, it's 6 floors, but it is still a super clinic.
VA officials tell us their goal is to offer the highest quality care and to be more efficient.
they've paid for this benefit with blood, sweat, and tears. And some of them even paid for it with their life. So we have to make sure that we're providing the best service we possibly can to our veterans, and this state-of-the-art facility is part of that goal.
Ray Haight says that's a goal he hopes the VA and the new center can live up to, but for now, he's cautiously optimistic.
Sure, we're hopeful, but the main thing is keeping the facility full of the right doctors to where they can handle the load.
Back at the Stegall's home in Mint Hill, you can smell the collard greens and the potatoes cooking. Dinner's almost done. John steals a kiss from his wife, Jean. He's glad the new VA healthcare center is just a 30-minute drive away.
We're looking forward to the time that we can maybe eliminate some of those trips out of town for the typical services that we've been getting.
And before leaving, he reminds us of one thing.
I'm glad that I was able to serve my country.
And hopes his country makes it a priority to continue serving veterans and their healthcare needs. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jeff Rivenbark reporting.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Mecklenburg County officials funded a program that provides veterans transportation by taxi or CATS bus system to the new VA center. Union County also plans to start a transportation program to the clinic. For more information about the Charlotte VA Healthcare Center, we've got a link along with this story on the Carolina Impact page at pbscharlotte.org. Well, I've often shared how much I love to study leadership. John Maxwell's my favorite leadership author, and he says everything rises and falls on leadership. Eugene Woods soon takes over as CEO of Carolina's healthcare system. The organization saw tremendous growth under retiring CEO Michael Tarwater. Carolina Impact's Danielle Koser shares just some of Tarwater's accomplishments.
With the right conditions, a single acorn sprouts into a seedling. Slowly but surely, the seedling grows into a mighty oak tree. In similar fashion, Carolina's healthcare system has humble beginnings. Opening 75 years ago as Charlotte Memorial Hospital and extending its reach to include more than 900 care locations across 2 states and nearly 40 hospitals.
We are very blessed that the healthcare industry is such a driver of Charlotte's economy.
Over the years, the organization weathered obstacles, like overcoming its reputation as a second-rate hospital and later earning national recognition as one of U.S. News and World Report's top hospitals.
And it really is about population health and how we can take care of individuals as well as communities.
Now the system prepares for another season of change as CEO Michael Tarwater announces his plans to retire after 35 years with the organization.
He's built a great team, a wonderful leadership team, and it permeates throughout the organization.
Tarwater joined Carolina's Healthcare in 1981, working on the administrative staff of former CEO Harry Nurkin.
Harry was a great leader and built so many wonderful things at what is now this Carolina's healthcare system.
Under Nurkin's more than 2 decades of leadership, Charlotte Memorial grew in both profit and size.
That really put the Carolina's healthcare system on the path to excellence, not just in terms of the growth they've seen, but the excellent customer service, the competitive cost structure.
Charlotte Memorial changed its name to Carolina's Medical Center in 1990. 6 years later, the Charlotte Mecklenburg Hospital Authority rebranded itself, becoming Carolina's healthcare system. Nurkin retired in 2002, passing the torch to Tarwater.
He took that foundation and wasn't satisfied with what it was, but continued to build on it. And I think that's the sign of a really good leader, someone who comes in, who honors the past and takes the good things from the past, operates in the present, but plans for the future.
Ever since I've met him, it's all about the patients who we take care of, making sure we stay true to what CHS has been from its inception.
Under Tarwater's direction, Carolina's healthcare grew from about 6,000 employees to more than 60,000, becoming Mecklenburg County's largest employer and one of the nation's largest public healthcare systems.
He wouldn't consider himself a powerful leader, but the evidence of his presence here, his legacy, if you will, there's some physical parts of that. The Levine Children's Hospital, the Levine Cancer Institute, and so much more around just the physical presence of Carolina's healthcare system.
Tarwater also leaves his mark on the community. As chair of the Charlotte Chamber in 2014, he introduced the theme Healthy Charlotte.
That theme allowed us to promote and educate folks on the role that healthcare plays in our economy. We need a healthy economy, a healthy transportation network, healthy schools, a healthy workforce. And today we have the Healthy Charlotte Council that lives on as a result of the year of his leadership.
Working to lead the transformation of healthcare, a complex and rapidly changing industry, Tar Water developed a strategic plan to increase access to care in rural communities.
It's not been, we're Charlotte, come to us. It really is, we're Charlotte, we have a lot to offer. Let's go to you. Let's help you serve your patients where they are.
And an emphasis on patient care is reflected in the organization's logo, the Tree of Life, with branches representing gentleness, justice, generosity, humility, prudence, wisdom, kindness, loyalty, and courage.
When he talks about the patients or he talks about the patient interactions, that's really when you'll see his true heart. He really cares about individuals, he really cares about patients, and he really cares about what our organization stands for.
To see that the compassion and the care, the real passion for caring for people, regardless of who that person is, where that person is, but the passion for doing the right thing and caring for that person, that begins at the top.
Like a strong oak with deep roots in the community, Carolina's healthcare system prepares for a new season, growing its future on the foundation Tar Water leaves behind. For Carolina Impact, I'm Danielle Koser reporting.
Thanks so much, Danielle. Recently, I had the opportunity to interview Michael Tarwater during an event for Carolina's healthcare system employees. Here's a small portion of our conversation. I'm sure people ask you every day, what's the secret sauce? What are some of your favorite leadership tips that you would be willing to share with us today?
But I think being willing to listen, it's not a popularity contest, but I think people deserve, when you go in a different direction than maybe what they want or expect, they deserve to know why. I think it's things like that. It's easier to be dictatorial and just say, do this, do this, do this, do this, and not listen and not explain. But a leader is somebody who has followers. And if you do it the dictatorial path, when you may get to where you wanted to go, but when you turn around, there won't be very many people behind you. And that's the difference.
You know, my favorite leadership author is John Maxwell, and he has a saying that if you want to get somewhere fast, go it alone. If you want to get somewhere far and do something amazing, you've got to take people. And you've taken an awful lot of people on this journey of building this into a world-class medical institution. And what do you want to say? What do you want people to remember and to think about this organization? Because sometimes when you're inside, you're so busy doing whatever your functional area is that you might miss a bigger thought.
Well, first, I didn't bring them, they brought me. I think that's it.
What do you want the community, the folks outside these walls, to know about your organization?
I think they already know it. I think they know it as a very caring organization, technically incredibly competent, world-class, that takes care of the whole person. And it's also one that gives back to the community. Your example of behavioral health is just one example of things that we do that are never going to pay for themselves. But we do them because it's the right thing to do. So I guess at the end of the day, when it comes to our mission and our place in this community, I want this community to understand that this organization tries to do the right thing for them.
Before we run out of time, I know you've had to have had a lot of proud moments over 35 years being here and being a part of the leadership team. Is there one, can you pin it down to one super proud moment?
Boy, you ask hard questions.
I'm gunning for 60 minutes.
Well, I'll vote for you.
Sorry, thanks.
You know, I think this is an example. It's one example. There are a lot of things that I could say in answer to this question, but this is one example about mission, about doing the right thing, about compassion, about technical, all these things that we've talked about. is wrapped up in this example, perhaps. And it has to do with Hurricane Katrina, which I'm sure everybody remembers. And our response through the technology and the people and the systems and the planning, that was and is Med1, which is our mobile hospital. And deploying to Waveland, Mississippi, with a team made up of teammates of the people in this room, that went down to a place that was literally wiped off the map by a hurricane, and then even more dramatically, if you can believe that, by the tidal surge as it went back out. And after the team had been down there about 10 days, it was time for them to rotate out. And so I thought it would be a good idea for me to go down and thank them. I mean, they were working in, harsh conditions, just in the middle of devastation. And so I did. I went down to visit with them. And I guess I wasn't surprised about this, but it just moved me in a way that many of these people and their teammates moved me and have over the 35 years. But they didn't want to leave. If you have ever wanted to see two grown men cry, it would have been one of the nurses that had been deployed down there and me hugging each other, both of us crying, him not wanting to leave, and me just being completely moved by the spirit that was there. They did not want to leave those people. They did not want to leave that place. And our response as an organization to things like that, it could be a big disaster like Katrina, or it could be a very small disaster, one member of one family in crisis. And we respond the same way.
For leaders like myself, Michael's story of success and significance in our community is so incredibly inspiring. It makes me believe anything is possible. Congratulations, Michael, on a job well done. And here's wishing you and Ann many great adventures to come. June 30th will be his last day with Carolina's healthcare system. Well, our next story is about a nonprofit in York County providing food to those in need. Last year, the Community Cafe served more than 55,000 meals. Thanks to donations and volunteers, they were able to provide meals at 93 cents per plate. As Carolina Impact's Jason Terzes explains, the Community Cafe wouldn't be able to reach nearly as many people without an army of dedicated volunteers. This is our third Community Giveback finalist.
The tables get set up, grilled cheese flipped, soup poured, sandwiches made, and the bags packed. No, this isn't a school cafeteria, but inside the Lake Wylie Lutheran Church, and it happens every Friday.
The first day we opened up, we served 45 meals.
Welcome to the Community Cafe.
I thought that was a lot.
Don Murfin started the cafe a little over 6 years ago. From the beginning, he had no idea how many free meals he'd be serving or how big of an impact he'd have in York County. Having spent 30 years as a venture capitalist, Don and his wife moved from Ohio to South Carolina shortly after the housing market crash of 2008.
He was hearing basically horror stories at church of people not being able to make ends meet and losing their homes.
Shortly after moving to South Carolina, Don met with a life coach to see what he might want to do next.
At the end of our sessions, she says, "You really should honestly, sincerely think about opening a kitchen to help people that are hungry."
Don says the thought never crossed his mind, but just a couple weeks later, he got an email from a pastor saying the church kitchen was available if anyone wanted to cook for those in need.
And I said, "God, are you talking to me?"
Don met with the pastor, devised a business plan, and went to work.
That plan said that we should be able to feed people a very good meal with choices, pretty much what you find in a cafe, for about $1 a person.
Since opening its doors, the Community Cafe has expanded to 3 locations in Lake Wylie and Fort Mill, each open for lunch on a different day of the week. The mission is simple: provide free meals to anyone who wants one. Churches cover the operating costs, volunteers do the cooking, and corporate sponsors help with donations and supplies.
No one gets paid, and everything that goes into the cafe goes right back out the door.
Every table at the cafe has a tablecloth and centerpiece. Volunteers deliver meals, drinks, and desserts to guests. The menu changes each week.
And I saw a lady just break down and cry because she just couldn't believe that somebody was going to carry her lunch to a table and take care of her like a restaurant.
We are so thankful that we are here doing your work as you tell us to do.
The Community Cafe treats everyone with dignity and respect, regardless of economic circumstances. The organization receives no government funding. If a guest wants to take a meal or several to go, that's fine.
My view of it is, I don't care whether somebody wants to take home one meal or 12.
And they've always given me extra to take home, so I have, something enough for supper, and then usually I've got enough for tomorrow for lunch and supper.
Rick Dennis regularly comes to the Friday Cafe at Lake Wiley Lutheran Church. Physical issues have limited his ability to work. He's currently living in the back of a tire service center.
I've enjoyed it immensely now. At first I was scared because, I was working and had money and had everything. It's just nice to have a laugh and a smile during the day when things aren't quite so good in your life.
Last year, the nonprofit provided 55,000 meals, 12,000 of which were delivered. Wanda Phelps uses her own car and gas to bring food to people all over the county, many with health issues, some even without electricity or running water.
It's extremely rewarding, sometimes challenging whenever you look at what some of our guests are going through, the hardships in their lives. But we're making a difference, and that's really important to me.
Thanks to Wanda and more than 100 volunteers, the community cafes have served over 170,000 free meals since first opening its doors.
I sit back and think about it, and wow, what a trip.
I'm glad that I've met all these nice people.
Oh, I'm completely in awe.
And it's been a total blessing in my life.
Down the road, the community cafe would like to expand. More volunteers, more locations, more people to serve. And it's all for neighbors helping other neighbors. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terzis reporting.
Thanks so much, Jason. Here's your chance to vote for your favorite nonprofit finalist and help choose the winner in our Community Give Back contest. During the last few weeks, we've featured Circle de Luz, Hospitality House of Charlotte, and tonight, the Community Cafe. So please head over to pbscharlotte.org and look on our homepage where you can watch videos about each of these worthy nonprofits and cast your vote. Voting ends Tuesday, April 19th. Well, it's time for some trivia now. What's 3,000 years old, survived a flood, and recently went on display? Well, it's the mummy treasure of El Fayum, of course. Since the exhibit opened in March, hundreds have flocked to the Iredell Museum. In tonight's One Tank Trip, we head to Statesville, where producer Russ Hunsinger shows us more about the only mummy in North Carolina.
There's a bit of mystery. The mummy is amazing. This is a chance to see something that you'd have to travel a great distance. This year marks our 60th anniversary, and we're opening with a piece that's been with us almost as long as the museum's founding. And it's very special. It is a 22nd dynasty mummy, which is actually quite rare. There's very few of them. You're going to be able to see firsthand something that was buried until the 1880s, 1890s. She was taken from her tomb by a missionary, brought to the United States, and eventually came to Statesville.
When we got the mummy in 1957, we didn't know where she was from in Egypt. We just knew that she was Egyptian. In the late 90s, we took samples and photographs from her to the British Museum to a curator named John Taylor, who looked at photographs of her and helped us identify her as being from the 22nd dynasty Fayum region. And the way he was able to tell that is because of the wooden hands that are on her cartonnage. She has very distinctive, I like to call them tattoos, on her hands and her knuckles that are blue and red. And that's something that was only done in the Fayum region and only really done in the 22nd dynasty.
We call her Margaret because the children gave her that name in the 1980s as a part of a contest. We don't know her real Egyptian name. There's no hieroglyphs on the coffin that are a name, which is rather unusual because without a name, her body would not have gone into its afterlife.
These hieroglyphs are basically prayers that come from the Book of the Dead. And the interesting thing about the mummy that we have is that the prayers are incomplete. At the bottom, there's a symbol that's basically the Egyptian version of an ellipsis, like ... so on and so forth. But it's actually not uncommon to do that. When you have a pharaoh or royalty, they would write all the prayers because they're spending all the money on his mummification. For her, she's sort of the middle class, and so they wouldn't have spent as much money or time writing all of the hieroglyphs.
If you really like mummies and history and stuff, you can come look at this to see how old it is and see the hieroglyphs on it and see the illustration on it.
These 4 figures right here are the 4 sons of Horus, and they are special to mummification in that they help watch over the deceased. There is a human-headed god, a baboon-headed god, a hawk-headed god, and a jackal-headed god, and each one watches over a different organ of the body.
Unlike other mummies, Margaret doesn't have the tight wrappings around each part of her body. We don't know why that happened, and so that's a mystery that we actually have incorporated into the exhibit, and the children will get an opportunity to look through 3 different possibilities of what might have happened to Margaret to make her be buried this way.
Sometimes they bury stuff with it, like they bury like jewelry and anything that's valuable.
I hope that we can expose kids to a different culture and sort of broaden their minds a little bit.
I guess they got to ride for free on a camel. I have to pay for my ride on a camel. So.
We want people to have fun. You know, history is far from boring, and Margaret's story is definitely one full of twists and turns, and so they can come here to the museum and discover it for themselves.
You need to come here. It's so amazing.
Thanks so much, Russ. The museum wants to raise funds to create a permanent exhibition space for the mummy treasure of Al-Fayum. You can find more details about the Iredell Museum on our website at pbscharlotte.org. Well, that does it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us. We always appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you back here again next time on Carolina Impact. Good night, my friends.
Production of PBS Charlotte.